audio and break it down to a MP3 for the RSS feed.
Yeah, I need to start. I need to get back to fucking doing that shit on the back end. Um,
Yeah, it's holiday season. It's nuts. It's nuts.
yeah, I got a lot of people talking about um how stuff don't work. So I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah. Oh shoot. Yeah, it is recording. Okay. Very
Yeah.
very serious. Serious professional. All right. So this is social justice bullies. I forgot how the fuck I do the intro. Yellow Man X posted up over there. That's Ricky L. Hines, Americans Unite to the Game. And I am William J. Black ass motherfucker dealing with Lisa's basic ass friend. I'm not editing that out. Dealing with Lisa's basic ass white passing friend acting like an annoying ass white feminist TM, irritating the whole entire fuck out of me. I hope that corny ass nigga blocks me. Like just go away, irrelevant person. All right. So social justice bullies episode number something. It's holiday season. It's fucking wacky. The wine cellar's been wacky. The SJB has been wacky. Trying to get some
Whack,
what is it? Hmm?
wacky is as whack it does.
Yes. Trying to get these secular TV episodes in. Ah man. All right. So fucking starting out, we're actually gonna do this the right way. Bully of the week. Believe this person's name is Mark Sullivan. And they wrote something on the counterpunch.org, and they titled this piece Sam Harris's Quantum Universe, or How to Say One Thing While Meaning Another. Ricky, you've read through this. What's going on here?
Um, so basically, he's pointing out like how Sam Harris has this really great way of fucking. I wouldn't even call it great. As far as the skill is concerned, like this motherfucker got it down pat. So I mean, in that respect, is great. But um, he has this way of saying one thing while meaning the complete opposite, and you kind of have to look at the things that he says and take them with a grain of salt. But long story short, but um, to give you a perfect example, I'll just read off from a bit of what Mark was talking about. Um, in a recent podcast titled "On the Maintenance of Civilization," Harris repeated his long-term commitment to exposing the effete maneuverings of the quote liberal left unquote around the elephant of Islam. According to Harris, leftists like Barack Obama are guilty of a pernicious delusion. The recent events in Paris had nothing to do with Islam, and that Syrian refugees are no more likely to harbor potential terrorists than others. Harris thinks this is a delusion because it is simply untrue that no refugees have ever become terrorists. Indeed, there are Somali refugees living in Minnesota who have gone to fight and wage jihad for al Shabaab. Obama's failure to recognize these facts is a testament to his moral blindness and political stupidity. So, um, sure, okay. None of that shit made any sense, but um, sure. If you want to let people in to a country, is there an odd that are the odds are that somebody who doesn't like said country is going to use that as an opportunity to, um, you know, do some terrorism? Sure, maybe. Um, but this is the same reason we complain about fucking taking our shoes off at the airport. Yeah, somebody could be using a fucking shoe bomb, but what are the odds? Like, no one fucking cares. No one cares that much. Just, you know, I'm sorry. This is terrible. Um, but uh, where am I at? This is actually just a really good fucking takedown, but it's just lengthy. The way that he breaks it down, just using his own statements, literally in conjunction with each other, where it's like, oh well, uh, Ted Cruz and the Republican Party and Trump, and they're all bigots, but then turn around and defend Ted Cruz. Like it's like this demented version of both siderism. Honestly, like it's the this side is weak, but and this side is crazy, but is this side really that crazy? Argument. So just fucking hand like honestly it's worth the read, especially if you know anybody who has a tendency to double speak, like, oh, I'm not a misogynist, but let me call white women pink toes on live on YouTube and trigger my co-host, shit like that, where you're like, oh, but but for some reason people say that I'm misogynistic. Yeah, shit like this. This is actually a really, it's just a good long takedown, and there's really nothing I can say more than that.
Yeah, what we should do when we put the program up, the episode up, we should link to it in the show notes.
Yeah, because it's definitely worth a fucking look. No question about that one.
All right, so that segment is in. Blam, still dealing with Lisa's basic ass friend. For some reason, it's like I'm pushing the red button, and I'm one of those people. I preach against pushing the red button, and I'm doing it, and also because they're saying bullshit. All right, you know what? I mean, hell, I might as well just add this in the episode. So like what we do, right? Like we follow people that we disagree with, right? I follow Fox News, Alex Jones. I recently subscribed to Brian Fisher's program Focal Point. I follow pages I disagree with. There's a page called Citizens Against Cop Block, which is basically just racist white people. I follow a lot of things that I disagree with so that I can respond to what they say verbatim, and I can look at what they plan on doing, and I can study their rhetoric and their propaganda as a propagandist myself. And one thing that's been going around is people doing this find out who on your friends list likes the Donald Trump page, and it's like, here's this shit, right? And I don't follow the Donald Trump page because you don't need to. He's on all the news stations all the time anyway. And so I'm pointing out that some of us do that. And of course, her first thing is, and that's why basic white feminism has to go. Because like if your first response to a complete stranger on the internet saying something that you don't know, that you never considered before, is to say mansplaining, you're too basic to interact with me, and yet I'm still interacting and pushing that red button as if it's useful. Like it's not useful to interact with this person, and I'm doing it. And Feeny Loco's gonna laugh at me later. All right, let's see. I walked into it. We got some I didn't get the John Dickerson from the Americans Democrats program, but I got the other individual, and I've got what the comparison that John Dickerson made on the Slate's Political Gab Fest program. So let's check this one out here.
Okay. Now, before we let you go,
see this guy's name.
Is it going to have
let me see what
political comments effect overall?
Its name
would be your outlook. Okay, great. Ed Kilgore.
All right, so this is Ed Kilgore, and he's on the Democrats.org program, America's Democrats. And he's gonna say what he thinks about Black Lives Matter, and it's more basic and not very well thought through, more so than like something insidious.
Okay. Now, before we let you go, the Black Lives Matter movement, is it going to have an effect in Democratic primary races for president or Congress? And if so, a positive effect or a negative one?
Now, keep in mind, he asked that question. Yeah, like you want to move fast, you want to get through your segments, but it's like, let's not forget that all the Democratic debates are scheduled for Saturdays, you know, when everyone's at home watching television on Saturdays, while the Republican debates are on like Tuesday night, Thursday night, right? When people are off work and at home, you know, Saturday people are out on activity. So all the Democratic debates.
Holiday season.
What up?
Especially during holiday season. They ain't slick.
Yeah. So essentially, it's being like the Democratic Party is handing it to Hillary. Even Alan Grayson, who, like, if you know Alan Grayson's record, and I'm a Florida resident, I'm an Alan Grayson voter. I know Grayson's record up and down. And so it seems like Grayson would be Bernie, but even Grayson went full establishment and joined a Hillary group out here in Florida. So it is being handed to Hillary, but you know, it's hard to fit all that into a question. All right, let me go ahead and give this a head start.
Okay. Now, before we let you go, the Black Lives Matter movement, is it going to have an effect in Democratic primary races for president or Congress? And if so, a positive effect or a negative one?
Well, I think it's already having an effect, and I think it's a positive one. I mean, I think, you know, we all sort of remember what happened during Bernie Sanders' first encounter with Black Lives Matter. And what we're already seeing, frankly, from the entire party and even to some extent the news media is an understanding that, you know, African-American issues, if you want to call it that, are best defined by
African-American issues, if you want to call it that. And they're best identified by African-Americans
themselves. And certain issues, including police behavior and the criminal justice system, have simply been tuned out.
And watch that soft language. It's just police behavior. It's just behavior.
By even very progressive white folks over the years. So to the extent that white Democrats have a bit of a tendency to sort of take minority voters for granted, I think it's sort of forced a real dialogue that was badly needed. And that in the long run, I think will help solidify the relationship between minority voters and the Democratic Party.
So a positive effect overall is
yes.
would be your outlook. Okay, great. Ed Kilgore, political columnist at New York Magazine, longtime commentator on progressive politics.
I don't think so, of course, because, well, one thing it did was it made a whole bunch of white progressives show their whole entire ass to black people. So basically they turned off, like, black people who are politically aware. That's one thing that white people love to point out, is black people didn't care about politics until Obama, and that's all black people know is Obama. To white people, Obama is like the BET of politics. Like, that's College Hill to the real world. That's all black people know. Black people don't know politics at all. They've never known a political nothing. And so they think that, like, we just don't know Bernie Sanders exists. Not only do we know Bernie Sanders exists, we already knew long before this whole 2016 race started. But we also know that he wanted to extradite Assata Shakur and send her to prison.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, we also know that in 1994, Bernie Sanders casted himself a little bit of a vote that was in favor of Bill Clinton's 3 strikes law. Yeah, we know that about Bernie Sanders. Oh, what else do we know about Bernie? Oh, also, there's a wee bit of a CNN clip where Bernie Sanders argued that police in larger cities, who watch the dog whistle there, in larger cities are in danger of young kids with guns. Larger cities, police in danger of young kids with guns. So yeah, we kind of do know Bernie. I still think he's the logical and the pragmatic choice, the lesser of the evils across the board. But stop playing us like we're ignorant white progressives. We know. We know better.
Well, William, he marched with Martin Luther King, William. He marched with Martin Luther King. What do you not understand, sir? He marched, sir, with Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
So he was right up front. So if I go look at pictures of those marches, Bernie Sanders is in front, like doing a homeboy handshake with him, right? Like just pounding him up, like yo, Marty Marr was cracking. And then Martin turned around, and he was like, Bernie, you my nigga. And like that was happening. He was marching with King, right? He was coordinating.
But you know what? So did Jesse Jackson. But y'all can't stand him. Remember that? We don't even like Jesse. So what the fuck? Come on, son. Don't use that. What they're saying I don't even think some like white progressives understand that when they say, oh, well, he marched with MLK. All right, sure, he's been on the civil rights tip for a really long time, and he's been a really practical and pragmatic leader for a really long time. And you can say that, and also say in the same breath that the only reason that you're pointing this out to me is because he's white. Because had Barack Obama marched with Martin Luther King, wouldn't have been no motherfucking throwing that in black people's faces. Remember, again, the only reason that gets brought up is because, hey, he's white and he marched with the black guy that you guys really like and that is important in history. So maybe you guys should shut up, okay, with your complaints about him. Nah,
then there's the other side, right? Because Bernie is because right now in the primary, Bernie is the lesser of those evils. So there's another person, and no, it ain't no goddamn O'Malley. It's Hillary Clinton, who something birther movement something. Oh, that's right. Hillary Clinton's campaign back in 2008 kicked off that birther shit. That came from Clinton's campaign. So Hillary Clinton, who was like when people say don't criticize Hillary for being a cold, calculated politician, that's just your misogyny showing. As if we didn't criticize George Bush for having Karl Rove say that that John McCain had an illegitimate black daughter in their primary run. Like, I mean, just using the Southern strategy in general is cold, calculating politics, right? Like we criticize men for that all the time. Hillary's getting the exact same criticism for being a cold ass politician, which is all the fuck she is. Like, to me, she legitimately is just a weirdo that just wants the seat just to have the seat, just to be in the books and just to say I did that. Like I was a 90s kid. And in my teen years, a movie came out somewhere around 99, 2000, a film called Election with Reese Witherspoon. Go back and watch Election. That's Hillary Clinton right there. That the way Reese Witherspoon played that character, she kind of told us where Hillary was going with this whole thing. So and Hillary also also demanded that Obama denounce that damn Reverend Wright. You denounced that evil man. He ain't right, Mr. Colored Bomber. All right, so Hillary Clinton and it's not. I don't think Hillary Clinton has her own Klan hood and Confederate flag in the garage. But Hillary Clinton is willing to pander to racism for the vote because that's what a cold ass calculated politician is willing to do.
Well, yeah, and you know what's funny? Like, and liberals, progressives, however you want to label the political left, they're so tied to the Democratic Party as if that party is somehow inherently better. When, again, the reality is that, how do I put this nicely? The reason that the Republican Party is so racist is because they took all of your races, most of your races from you, and some of them stayed. Some of them stayed on your side. That's all. Like, not every racist went and hopped along and joined the fucking Republican Party. You know that grandfather, that great uncle that you have, the crazy great uncle at Thanksgiving that shows up. Yeah, sure, he may vote Republican, but his brother, your other crazy fucking uncle, thinks essentially the same way, just votes Democrat because they're so used to it. They've been voting Democrat for 60 years. So like people forget that these people, like, people forget that, say, with even in the greatest progressive achievements, wrought with racism and sexism, wrought, like specifically excluding farm workers um, from the New Deal, specifically excluding
Housework, because
housework.
women of color primarily did that.
Yes, because women period did that at greater levels. Because again, you don't have, when you at that point, you didn't have to fucking say, oh, all I want is even, again, even in the racist ass 40s and 50s, well, 30s and 40s, you didn't have to sit up there and say, oh, well, I want black people excluded. They did, and it's in congressional record, but you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to write a law like that because it wouldn't stick. You would just go around. You would go around it by saying, okay, well, where are black people most likely to work? Where are women most likely to work? All right, well, let's exempt those jobs. Oh, bam! You're like systemic racism right there, and it's just that fucking simple. Like, you can't, as a progressive, you cannot pretend that racism and systemic racism does not exist within the Progressive Party, within the progressive movement, within the Democratic Party at all, because fuck, if it exists within the very people that is targeted to hurt, of course it exists in some fucking liberal bastion. Black people harbor some of the same fucking racist attitudes because we've been taught the same bullshit. We're less likely to believe it because we know a lot more black people, but we still get taught the same lesson. Little Susie and little fuck. Give me a name.
But let's recenter it. Recentering it on right of Black Lives Matter working well with the Democrat, because like, so Bernie Sanders had his run in, right, which didn't go well. Like he hired a black person. That black person said the Sanders campaign apologizes. Bernie goes on CNN and says, no, I don't apologize. Fucking. And again, like more like Nicole Sandler and Mike Malloy are by far the worst. Like, so many less people that are black are interested in Bernie and or voting Democratic at all because of Mike Malloy and Nicole Sandler. Those two are doing horrible things for race relations on the, like, what we would refer to as the far left side, the kind of people that talk about Chelsea Manning and the NSA and shit like that. Like, those of us that are in that camp, Nicole Sandler and Mike Malloy are driving black people way the fuck away. And and David Pakman as well. Like, what George Soros just funds Black Lives Matter, and it's like a Hillary plant. It's just it's complete and utter wackiness. So that with Bernie, it didn't go well with Black Lives Matter. He learned the rhetoric so he can get the basic end of it. The folks that are a lot more interested in watching Wendy Williams after work. Like, Bernie can get to them now because he learned the rhetoric to just say Black Lives Matter. We're talking about Black lives. Yeah, we could say all lives matter, but we're talking about Black lives right now. So he's got the rhetoric down. But those of us that are in it day to day, we're not convinced. We know better. But he's still the pragmatic choice. He's still the lesser of the evils. Now, the Hillary side with Black Lives Matter, that, again, stone cold calculated politician. Hillary has her ear to the street like a motherfucker. Like, she knows that the majority, which is the white folks, that they're annoyed with these Black Lives Matter kids, and they think they need to shut the fuck up. So when Hillary finally sees some of them, she's like, she does that sort of like, I'm the adult talking to the children style of like, hey, we can't change hearts. I'm gonna need you to bring me, like, Hillary Clinton essentially told them to bring her legislation, right? Hillary Clinton, who is involved in that process, said, you bring me an idea. Hillary Clinton, who has been politically active since she was 11 years old. 11 years old, and she doesn't have her own Black Lives Matter legislation that she's pushing. Got nothing, and you've been in it since you were 11 and you got nothing. but I'm supposed to be impressed with you. And then, but then what does she now she tells them that, right? Like, that you need to come up with your own idea. Then what does she do on that debate stage when she's in front of more people and can't be as rude? She says, and I quote, "We need a new deal for African Americans."
We
Wait,
need
I
the.
thought you said we need to come up with our own shit.
We didn't get the first one. What you mean?
And if she gets in, she won't do the second one. She will not. Bet you we'll get more war though. But we bet you we're gonna bomb more Muslims and then wonder where the terrorists are coming from.
Yeah, we create a lot of fucking blowback. But no, I mean, hey, I think that it's one of those things where it's like, at no point did this ever center around like the Black Lives Matter movement at all. Like why they would be even interested. Like white people aren't even trying to sell black people anymore. Like even progressives, like it's not like, oh well, we're gonna have your back. When you say that this type of shit happens, we got you. Instead, they're like, oh well, it'll be a good relationship for us, the Democratic Party and progressives.
Yeah. And then looking back at the cold calculated politician again, Hillary Clinton didn't stop accepting money from prisons that her husband put a bunch of niggers in until after it became a bad move politically to accept that money. Now, you know what I never saw an update of? Her giving that money back. Gone. Right? That shit already turned into a pair of shoes.
Yeah. Nah, but it to be pragmatic about shit. Like I realize it takes a real that we've marketized the fucking presidency, or the presidential election. It's become a fucking market. We've marketized our politics, and I get that. And even the pragmatic in me is just like, okay, cool. You want to take money from prisons? All right, give that money give it back to the people who they took the money from in the first fucking place. If you're gonna take it and you say that you're on the side of justice, like, no, motherfucker, don't stop now. Don't stop taking the money now. Instead, take that money and campaign and produce change for the people that it disproportionately affects. But then again, I'm expecting like some sort of earnesty when they say that, when they say without a doubt that Black Lives Matter, and they'll say the shit on stage for a minute during a fucking debate. Nah,
Yeah.
like, again, maybe I'm expecting some sort of sincerity, but that's what sincerity looks like. That's what, and then that's what kind of bothered me about Bernie is like, oh, well, he's raising all this money. Can you imagine if he were taking just a couple large corporate donors? If he just had even if he just had a few, like, put black people on your campaign staff, give them adequate jobs, actually listen to them. Like when one apologizes for you, shut the fuck up, because it looks good. Like,
but instead, he would rather be clear. He would rather be very clear. I did not apologize to those buck dancing jigaboos. He didn't say that. Right? Fucking now. But he did have to make it very clear. He is not issuing an apology. He came to talk to white kids about free college because they're into that sort of thing. All right? There's really not much that you're going to get out of the colored people community.
yeah. And you know what? His type of, like, the distinction between he and Clinton when it comes to policy, when it comes to very specific policy, is what makes him the more pragmatic choice. Even as, like, even for those in the Black Lives Matter movement, like, it's sure not the, like, not the best working relationship. You don't know how to. You're a bad politician, and that's what it is. That's what it boils down to. Bernie is a bad politician, and Hillary is way too fucking good at it to ever have to be sincere. So, it's hard for any fucking group who's asking that they're, hey, don't shoot and kill me. How about that? Hey,
Right.
how about some economic opportunity? Hey, remember that whole slavery thing where you guys like literally built this country off of our backs? Hey, maybe we should consider at least paying you back for it, because this man is pretty fucking rich. Like, hey, Native Americans, guess what? I know we made a deal about the land, and yeah, it's really turned out in our favor. Plus, we've really fucked you over in the last 300-400 years as well. So, how do we make amends for that? Like, it's never that conversation. Everybody acknowledges that these things are bad, but no one ever wants to fucking be held accountable for them. Oh, well, it's just a matter of everybody just not talking about it, bro. Once we get past it, once we forget about it, kind of hard to forget about when you're still suffering from it.
Yeah, our Holocaust never ended. It just got fancy. Our Holocaust just has nice jeans on. Yeah, man. All right. So there's that, and I'll edit in like some sort of bridge or commercial or something in between there. And we're off to Slate's political gab fest with and Emily Bazelon is usually a lot better, but there's this thing, and I think it's because he's the corporate guy who works for I think it's a CNBC, and so they end up deferring to John Dickerson, but you remove John Dickerson and just let Emily Bazelon talk, and she's a lot better. But they have to defer to Dickerson. And I noticed that this show is becoming there is like no Hillary critique anymore on Slate's Political Gab Fest ever since they started doing commercials for MSNBC. It started with a commercial for what up? Oh, what'd you say?
Nothing. Nah, I said nothing.
Oh, I thought, and they did a commercial for Rachel Maddow, then Lawrence O'Donnell, and then they just started, and then Chris Matthews for some fuck off reason, and then they started just doing commercials for the whole channel, MSNBC, right there on Slate's Political Gab Fest. So they're in the tank, they're corporatized. All right, so what they're talking about are these are people on a street level in what I consider to be these sort of cold wars between ideology, but because we have access to guns and can buy shit down at the Home Depot to make bombs, then it is like a dangerous cold war. People are being murdered. And they're talking about like how ideology connects to it, and this thing that John Dickerson is calling a leap, which I could hear that leap, but then he brings he has to bring black people into it, and it's back to this Black Lives Matter dealing with the police. So they're talking about this leap between stuff that is, I guess, is probably in that Quran book, and the handful of Muslims that are jihadists that'll commit a murder, and the rhetoric around abortion with white Christians, and the folks like Mr. Deer shooting up Planned Parenthoods, and then remember, like the Deer one. That one was just dramatic because it was like a live action shooting that was in the news at that moment, and a precious cop got shot. We can't have that. But also, I mean, hell, they've been firebombing these things. There have been multiple arsons at Planned Parenthoods, whether they perform abortions or not. There's been acid throwings at abortion clinics. This is not the only thing and won't be the last thing that's happened at an abortion clinic because white Christians exist. All right, so that's what they're talking about. Let's lean into it. Oh, maybe I should. Ooh, okay, now let's lean into it. I won't have to edit with too much of a heavy hand on this.
what the interesting point there is, John, that's the distance of leap, and I think that's a really good way to think about it. Actually, that's a keen.
It's a useful metaphor because there is a leap in each case.
In each case, right?
It's short.
And what
So they were leaning into it, saying, "Man, John Dickerson, you have really good ideas. You're the serious thinker here. You're like the grown up in the room, John."
America does is that makes the leap
immediately.
America makes the leap shorter for everything, whatever your ideology. It makes it shorter because you can do it, because you have access to the weapons that allow you to do it.
I think.
And let's just point out how much vocal fry that guy talks with, and no one will criticize it.
I think we can talk about that, but hold on. Can we stay on the ideology thing? Because it seems to me that somebody who says kill the police and then a person goes and shoots police officers, that's a shorter leap than.
Yeah, because you know how anytime a cop gets shot, it's directly related to the activism. Like you could that's what happens because they say that, like, when someone who's in a drug deal and they shoot an undercover cop that they catch trying to bust them, they say Black Lives Matter, Freddie Gray. Like they say that.
Point out that there have been more faked instances of Black Lives Matter committing violence against cops than there have real ones.
That's an unfun fact.
3-0. So again, this doesn't exist. This is the problem, is that we talk about these types of things and as if they actually exist in reality. Sure, as a concept, could someone make that leap to cops are bad because they're killing people indiscriminately, disproportionately black people because we station them in neighborhoods where black people live? Sure, they probably could, but it hasn't happened. So what the fuck are you talking about it for? You're having this discussion like, yeah, sure, everyone has the opportunity to do these things. Absolutely, it does make that leap shorter, but no one's leaping, motherfucker. Like, where are you getting this from? No one, the one person who had anything to say about, cops killing police or cops killing people, was the guy who killed 2 cops in New York. Again, not associated with Black Lives Matter, and you're conveniently forgetting the fact that, like, people still watch the news. People still understand that, yeah, police are out here killing black folks without any accountability, without any sense of justice for the person that they've killed. Somebody's going to be upset about that. Somebody's not going to take very kindly to that because it is in fact the truth. It does actually happen. So what can you say? Like, it's this both siderism shit again. Like, oh well, you did this to me, so what? You it's kind of like, I think I used this metaphor with one of Howard's friends where he was talking about how social justice warriors want they just want to oppress people, and it's like they want to stop people's free speech, and it's like, okay, this would be speech had you not already done it. Now it's just you reminding me of some shit that you've already done. It's no longer an opinion, it's a threat.
Yes.
It's not. People have sat there and lied about Planned Parenthood, shit that we know isn't true, and somebody decided they were going to listen to that lie when shot up a fucking Planned Parenthood.
Yes, and I'm going to double tangent here before I hit play again. Double tangent, just because you mentioned Howard. Like that, did you hear that shit? Nah, because my programs are 2 hours and I do one almost every day. But like fucking, we're talking about the James Dean, the serial rapist. Like we're talking about that story and this BDSM, and this nigga just gonna come on the program just casually, randomly talking about how he was accused of rape, and then saying she just did it for money. Just what the fuck, Howard? Jesus Christ! And I cut his mic.
Yeah, you kind of had to.
Yeah, I was
'Cause
like, what the fuck is
relevant.
that?
What does that have? Like, no one's falsely accusing anyone of rape for money, so this doesn't apply. Like, if we were having that conversation, Howard, that would apply.
Yeah,
Does that work?
that shit was weird, man. And then okay, that's the first one, double tangent. And then because this is fucking John Dickerson is my focus here. And what John Dickerson did at one of the Saturday Democratic debates was just basically just sort of asked an anti-science, anti-pragmatic question, really just to again play up to Islamophobia, which I recently made a post in the Facebooks about the fact that we're dealing with the results of Islamophobia right now. It's a good post, go look at it. And so in Syria, right, in partic, like climate change causes extreme weather conditions, not just heat, not just extreme weather conditions in general. If there's a drought, it's extra drought. If there's a storm, it's extra storm. All right. These are like the effects of climate change along with sea level rise. So the farmers in Syria, they're and remember, there's Muslim folks out there, right? There's Islamic folks, but they're just farming folks, just cooling out, just trying to grow the crops. And they're like, shit, man, we're in a fucking drought. Like, we need some help. They go to their leader for some help, and the leader's like, ooh, yeah, I'd rather gas you and shoot you. So I'm gonna do that. And then so the folks that are ISIS and the smaller extremist groups, they're like, see, they fucking hate you. You should join us and roll with us because we got these guns, nigga. From Ronald Reagan. We got these guns, homeboy. So come roll with us. And so shit like climate change is like there is a direct line from climate change to terrorism because it's putting people in a more desperate situations where they don't know what the fuck to do. And somebody who says they're your friend and has a gun that you can hold too, and we're going to fight the power, looks pretty goddamn appealing. But John Dickerson skips over all that and just looks at Bernie, and he's like, yeah, so with what happened in Paris, so you still think climate change is the biggest problem, or is it Islamist extremists? And Bernie still stuck to his shit. He was still like, look, let me be clear. Big Bernie Sanders in here. I'm not George Bush. You don't sit down with me and have a beer. 2016's my motherfucking year. And climate change is the problem that we all should fear. He didn't say that exactly, but it was along those lines. All right, that's that. All right, so back to the John Dickerson led discussion. All right, let's give it a little head start.
It seems to me that somebody who says kill the police and then a person goes and shoots police officers, that's a shorter leap than the leap that people are positing in the Colorado Springs shooting.
So we should just stipulate, like, most anti-abortion opponents and most Black Lives Matter protesters are not advocating violence.
Totally.
Quite the opposite.
Right.
But it is true that, there are these very ugly, violent words that get used. I mean, there have been a couple of Black Lives Matter protests where at least one where people were chanting, kill the pigs, fry them up like bacon, which is very graphic and pretty parallel to some of the anti-abortion rhetoric, where it's not just...
You see, what makes it so it's not parallel is if you actually fucked with this thing called context. You see, with Black people, it's you're shooting us, you're raping us, you're putting us in institutionalized legal prisons and Black sites like in Chicago, like you're brutalizing us. You are being fucking horrific. You should advocate for killing someone who is actively killing you. With a white Christian terrorist, the anti-abortion folks, they see complete strangers getting a medical procedure and they say, I get to go kill that person, which again, here's the context behind that. That's what white Christians have always done. When I was in elementary school, we looked up the history book and they taught us about this little thing called Manifest Destiny, where white Christians said, yeah, we feel like taking over this whole thing because, fuck it, God said we could. So all you native folks, yeah, we're just going to kill across the continent till we get to the next body of water. All right. So we're about to do that now because that's the context behind white Christians on this continent is we kill who we want to kill because we feel like it, because they're in the way of what we want. We want women breeding no matter how they got pregnant, no matter when, what age, don't give a damn. And if you get in the way of that, I get to shoot you because I'm a white Christian and freedom.
Yeah,
Context, huh?
yeah, and let's not only, but look where they got it from. It's one of those where they can look back at Europe and Britain, well, this country, Britain more specifically, but they can look back and think, "I got it from you, Dad," because the reality is that I mean, you go back to I don't know the first person who got anywhere near this continent. Go look at Christopher Columbus, genocide, genocider in chief. Let's just go look at
Shit, and then back to keep going.
the Crusades. Again, white Christians. You want to go back and look at, we can even go back even further. I mean, think about the fall of Rome. You know, when Europe decided it was going to burn everything of any substance and sit in their own fucking filth for about 500 years.
Yeah.
They have a long history. You know, Europeans and people of European descent have a long history of white Christianity thinking they can do any and everything that they want because God said so. That's not how it works.
Yeah, don't go back that far. Hell, the KKK still exists, and it's not like you realize that you can be a member of the KKK and you don't actually have to wear the hood because it's not illegal to be a member of that murderous, bloody terrorist organization because white Christians essentially have like I'm starting to what a lot of atheists say is this is a secular nation, this is not a Christian nation. Yeah, on paper, it's a secular nation. In practice, white Christians really do get to do what the fuck they want, and they have white supremacy behind them. They have imperialism behind them. They have corporatists behind them. Hey, Hobby Lobby, right? They have intercontinental corporatists behind them, and they have the kind of funding behind them where it's like in effect, we get taxed for white Christians to exist and get their Christian on because they are tax exempt and still use the commons.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Sure.
it's in practice, it is indeed a white Christian nation, and that's the thing. Like, and that's the problem with. That's why I don't even have conversations in generic atheist spaces anymore because white atheists refuse to talk about white supremacy. So they'll never talk about how it really is a white Christian problem.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
and I think that part of that stems from just, look how Christianity ran into anyone that wasn't white. It was forced upon them.
Yeah.
That's, you can say what you want about Christianity, whether you love or hate Christianity. There's no denying that, anyone not of European descent after, well, virtually anyone after, I don't know, 700 BC or AD is they ran into Christianity in a really harsh way. Let's just put it that way.
Hell, I would flip that sentence the other way around. Christianity ran into them.
Well, yeah, yeah, literally.
Yep. Plymouth Rock landed on us. Right. Let's see. I'm gonna let this audio go a little bit longer because I think we I think we drilled down to the bottom of this thing. But let's see what else they're saying.
call for like killing or war in an abstract sense. It's like a very visceral sort of image that could get in some crazy person's brain and inspire them.
So now let's figure out whether even if if some members of a
And see, and they jump to the ableist language, a crazy person's brain. And it's like, these folks get up, go to work, pay bills. Like, they may not be the sharpest folks in the world, but trying to just jump to mental illness is, again, just excusing white Christian supremacy.
group are shouting something that is direct action of violence, whether the entire group gets put on the hook for that, regardless of who the group is.
I don't think it's that the well. So what I feel like is important is for people to acknowledge that the link is there, and then think about
Right.
the cost of the speech. Right. I mean, obviously, everyone has the right to scream murderers at abortion clinics and to scream kill the police at the cops, but is that really what you should want to be doing? And when someone dies and it seems like there is a tie, even if it is attenuated, do you want to feel like maybe you have blood on your hands in some way? I was reading a piece this morning by a minister who had been someone who protested outside of an abortion clinic in upstate New York.
Okay, she goes into this story about how that person, a doctor gets killed up there, and he feels bad for it. And again, like, this is, I mean, of course, it's white supremacy at work, but it's also anti-blackness at work, which is, I think anti-blackness is the thing that is the strongest thing to uphold white supremacy, because it keeps non-black people of color like they have someone that's beneath them, and that allows them to uphold white supremacy, because they're like, yo, fuck those niggers though. Hey man, we're the Asians, we're awesome. Yo, fuck those niggers. We're the Indians. I mean India. Like, we're the Indians, we're awesome. Fuck those niggers. And so yeah, this that whole segment, and led by John Dickerson, was just white supremacy in action. Just to take that what up?
You put the Black Lives Matter movement and right-wing Christian nut jobs in the same sentence, like you're equating them. You know you're equating them. That's why you very deliberately use those two groups. Black Lives Matter, again, more instances of fake violence against against cops by Black Lives Matter activists than there were actual incidents of police or violence against police by Black Lives Matter activists. So, or anyone even really loosely involved with the movement. So,
yeah, like, even, you know what would be a more accurate comparison, and it actually does involve Black Lives Matter, is just white dudes, whether Christian or not, who think that the world is getting too politically correct, and that people are well, yeah, let's stop there. They think the world's getting too politically correct, because let's not forget, it was guys from that website 4chan who went down to the Black Lives Matter folks in Minneapolis and shot 5 of them.
mm-hmm.
Because they're white and they feel like it, because I think you're getting in the way of my fun, and I think you're getting uppity and out of line, so I'm going to shoot you now. Like, and that's how these people think. That's whiteness, man. That is whiteness. Let's see. So all right, what up?
It's disingenuous as fuck. Like, it really is, to try to equate those two groups as if there's any real comparison there. Because again, even the example that they're trying to use, well, you know, a couple Black Lives Matter activists say kill cops. Oh, okay, but has anyone ever killed a cop though doing that? Like, when did this happen? You're trying to say the scores even when there's clearly somebody's running up the fucking score. You know, again, it goes back to this, this wanting to be in this ivory tower and stare down at the right and the left and just point and laugh as if being in the center is the way to be. But that's all relative. So, if being in the center of two equally balanced political parties, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But that's not the case, and everybody knows that's not the case. But if you admit that that's the case, then you have to say, oh well, shit, I'm in the center, I'm still fucking crazy. Like the centrist people, the people who are in the center of a Republican Party or a right wing that is increasingly more xenophobic, racist, sexist, ableist, fucking name it. And to the far left of that, you have, oh well, let's be reasonable. That's not being in the center makes you a bad person. Sorry.
Yeah,
It is.
if you sit on the fence, you side with the oppressor because the oppressor owns the fence. Damn it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. So for the story, and I'm gonna edit in so this will be a stop point where I edit in a little bridge or a commercial, and you know what? I'm gonna hit you with a couple headlines, and you pick the story of the week. Let's see. I'm just gonna blast you with a stream of headlines, kind of fast, not really. Let's see. Rush Limbaugh cooperating with the feds to protect his property from climate change and beaches erosion. Kansas cops' 3-year-old son shoots and kills himself with a gun he found inside the apartment. Michigan mom freaks out because there's a prayer room for Muslims at the Catholic school and it undermines her child's faith. American bigots are hurling stones and bullets at Muslim women in Florida. A Texas good guy with a gun shoots a carjacking victim in the head and then runs away. A woman beats the crap out of a man that attempted to rape her. And let's see, there's a couple bit more. Oh, there's an update to a story. The Michigan woman who shot at some people that she thought were shoplifters lost her gun permit. Caitlyn Jenner has a new quote from Caitlyn Jenner. The quote is, "If you look like a man in a dress, it makes people uncomfortable." End quote. And you know what? Let's stop there. I may have ripped through those. Anyone stand out in your head? Any one of them?
They're all terrible. Like those were intended. I think those were just a direct intention of fucking making me depressed for the rest of the day.
Fucked up is I don't know if I've said that on the show, but I've said it off the show. Like, all right, it's time to fucking see if I can make Ricky frustrated. If he does the frustrated sigh, I win.
Just some days.
All right, here's one. I'm picking one that's not even a part of the list I gave you. Hey, here we go.
Cover what's her face? Smart but not smart enough. Abigail Fisher.
Oh man, I had myself a little bit of fun on that "Stay Mad Abby" hashtag. I put and I did this from the Misogynor Exposed Twitter page. Dylan Roof is too busy to pursue a relationship. Stay mad, Abby. Fucking damn it! Now I want to go to it and look at him. I'm gonna look at him. That's what I'm gonna do. I can edit this out. I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
you gotta go to work in 7 minutes.
Yeah, it's just beyond belief that you could even try to pull, like, that the Supreme Court not only took this case before, but actually sent it back to the Fifth Circuit to review. Like, okay, so if the claim is racial discrimination, right, that means that there has to be a disparate impact or a disproportionate impact. That it is that harms you, that does you harm. So, if you are, you don't have the grades to get in automatically to the school of your choice. There in Texas, they go through a little criteria. So there were, when Abigail Fisher was put up against that criterion, out of 47 of the people who had worse scores than she did who got in, 45 of them were black. So that's about 11% or so, little over, about 12. So I wonder what percentage of the Texas population black people make up. Let's do some math, right? So, black people make up 12%, and roughly 11, 12% of the people with lower scores got in um, ahead of her. So, okay, that sounds pretty proportionate, right? Right? 11% and 11%, or 12 and 11%. When you're talking about a sample size of 47, it's about as close as you're going to get. Follow me? So, guess what the other 89% were?
Um, cheating black kids.
No. The other 89% were white people. So there was no disparate impact based on your race. That's like, you're right. Sorry.
You're
Sorry.
just not
Doesn't-
good.
it's-
And I'm not gonna front, yo. Like, I
no.
have been doing my darndest to not make fun of her looks, because that's mean and that's not what the story's about.
But the reason why I'm not really. Here's the problem, and this is what always bothers me. Um, in a society where you accept these truths about people, where you accept that, oh, well, the reason why I didn't get in is because some black person did, even though there were only 5 of them and 47 of them got in before. We'll cast that aside. And forget about the other 100 or so black people who had better scores than her and didn't get in. So we'll negate that too. Apparently, we have to, like, again, if you have to wipe away all this shit, not the best argument, right? So if the reason why you as a student don't get in is because of the black person, you're accepting racism. You're accepting that this racist society and the beliefs that are held within it. By those same beliefs, you ain't shit. You're just a dumbass white girl. That when you show up to UT and there's frats talking about drop your daughters off here, you're in real fucked up waters. So when you accept the system like that, you don't get to accept the good parts like that. You don't just get to accept the good parts that benefit you. Nah, you get the back end too. That's why I understand about, like, and there's groups who have like a little bit of privilege, but not like, white cis het rich male privilege, that seem to miss this. Like, black men are one, white women are definitely one. It's just, I don't know. It bothers me because if you're going to accept that system, you have to accept a system that considers you some stupid white cunt to drop off at some frat boy's room. Is that what you are? No, right? So if that's not what you are, then why the fuck would you even, like, something and tell you, oh, maybe it's not the black people? You know, people think really shitty about me, and that's not true. Maybe it isn't because of these black people that I didn't get in. Maybe it's because I had pretty good grades, but all around, as a student and a person who needs to learn, they were better. Fuck it. I bust my ass and get in a year anyway, which is all she had to do. Go to fucking community college for a year, or go to another satellite college for a year and transfer with good enough grades. So no, she's literally taking the easy way out, blaming a Negro.
Yeah, so she's essentially Emmett Tilling the whole law.
Hmm.
Let's
Yeah.
see. So and what I put up there was the KKK is checking for transcripts for new members. Stay mad, Abby. Your biggest success is being a failure. Stay mad, Abby. Um, You took this one was funky because you got to play with the spelling. You took aim at what you could not see, but failed to Hitler the target. Stay mad, Abby. And my personal favorite one, you can teach an Abigail to Fisher, but she'll just fail to hook the race bait. Stay mad, Abby.
Oh.
But you'll
Yeah.
like this. What up?
Nah, go ahead.
I got this good for you right here. So this is from Rob Hoffman on the Instagram, right? And he put up something. It's a so there's a person named Doug Roch. He's a former president of Trader Joe's, and he founded a new low-cost healthcare food store called Daily Table. The first store opened in Boston June 4th, 2015, and according to their website, their prices are low enough to compete with fast food, and they also put out grab and go options if you don't have time to cook. And a
Nice.
quote from the founder is the answer here isn't a full stomach, the answer has to be a healthy meal. And here's a glimpse at some of the prices offered at Daily Table. A dozen eggs for $1.29. I want to see what the brand is, but cereal for 70 cents and tuna for people who are gross, 55 cents. And Roch affords these prices by working a deal with vendors to purchase food that might ordinarily get thrown out for arbitrary reasons, right? Like those bullshit reasons, like this apple, it's got a little contusion in it. That's a fancy word for bruise. This apple got a little bruise in it. It's ugly. So that means the whole apple is garbage, in which we know what happens with garbage. It gets, we have these things called landfills where we pack them in the Martha fracking ground. And as these things are sitting in the ground, well, it's garbage and there's organic material in there, and that produces methane. What happens to that? It adds to climate change. So let's support this type of shit. Let's hopefully get some black business owners to get some shit like this up and running. If we absolutely must have capitalism, let's get more black folks with a wee bit more capital action. And do this: throw away less food and make less of a contribution to Martha fracking climate change. And I'll send you the link to this. So we'll put the link to this and to another joint, the bully of the week, Mark Sullivan, in the show notes. All right, this guy got some funky jams. Is that what that is? Is that the funky jam? Is that what it is? It's the social justice bullies, fuck face. But I can't tell if the beat is about to make a change, so I'm making haste and I'm quick. Behind the snare, behind the kick and the hi-hat, I ride back northwest of the flesh. I'm a fly cat. Oh man, what's going on there? The beat's gone. Niggas hate when black people start having fun. That was some light-skinned shit. Said all you dark niggas is rapping again. Fuck y'all niggas. Drake for life!
Das heißt, die FPÖ fühlt sich hier auch vertreten.
Die FPÖ fühlt sich deshalb vertreten, weil wir hier im Land eine Regierung hat, die von Unfähigkeit glänzt. Und daher muss man eines klipp und klar sagen, muss man auf einen Protest gegen Werner Feimann gehen.
Okay, das heißt, hier wird gelobt die Politik von Ungarn, von Polen zum Beispiel. Was hältst du davon?
Von Ungarn und Polen. Die Ungarn haben etwas vorgemacht. Sie haben vorgemacht, wie man eine wie sich die Asylstatistik.
There it is. I was trying to find where the fuck that was coming from.
Oh, so when you it sounds like somebody speaking German backwards.
Yeah, like I was like, what the fuck? It's so weird. I'm like, what the hell is that? Where's that coming from? All these damn pages with auto start links.
Yeah, that's that weak shit.
Yeah. That is annoying. It's truly annoying. All right. We said we wrap this here up.
Yep. All right. Yeah, I have enough stuff to edit down, and I'm gonna hit